unfortunately, Matt Nicholson will be out this weekend. He's not going to be at a level where he can get out and play yet, so we're ruling him out for this weekend, and we'll just kind of see going forward, going into next week if we can do something there. But and Ryan has managed well with his ankle, so obviously he's not completely 100%, but having this week off I think was really helpful for him. I thought he played much better in the second game, getting his feet underneath him a little bit, and so it's going to be kind of with the guys we've rolled with the last couple games, which we have confidence. These guys have played really well. We played a hard-fought game in Michigan State with this group. Played very well at home against Minnesota, and that's what we'll go into the conference tournament with.
What do you like about the way these guys have battled through all the injuries?
Yeah, just how tough-minded our group has been. It's always been a next man up mentality. We went through it with Ty, and Ty ended up, I think, missing 9 games right in the regular season, so it was only about halfway through. And for the way Nick Martinelli stepped up, Blake Smith in his absence, and then now, you see the way Blake Preston stepped up the other night. I thought it was Blake's best game, in a long time. With Matt not being out there, so that's just kind of how we've been constructed. Is hey, we're going to figure it out with the guys we got, and that's the mentality. I think guys are excited. We got a little bit of rest after Saturday's game. We've had a couple spirited days of practice, and it's a different mentality when you don't know who you're playing. But it allows you to kind of focus on you. What are some of the things you get in the course of the season, and you're always focusing on that next opponent, how to attack them, how to defend them, and for us to be able to take a couple days and kind of self-scout ourselves, especially having the injuries, right? We've had to reinvent our team a little bit, so really pleased with the last couple days, and hopefully we'll go into Friday afternoon fresh and ready to go.
For the second straight season, you had 2 players make an All-Big Ten team. What does that say about the culture you've established here?
It's awesome. I should have said that at the beginning. So proud of both of those guys. To have a back-to-back, first-team All-League guy is incredible and well-deserved. Quite frankly, and Zach Edey deserves Player of the Year. I'm not saying that, but in most Power 5 leagues, Boo might have been Player of the Year. He's had that kind of year and has been that impactful to our success. And then super proud of Brooks. Everybody knew with Chase kind of moving on that Brooks needed to be the guy to kind of step up and become that second guy. And he embraced it. It's what he wanted. He's worked really hard. And I said at the beginning of the year, right? If you want to be a top 4 double bye type team in the Big Ten, you need to have multiple all-league guys. And that's what we've had this year, and we've complemented those guys with other very good players, and just really proud to see those guys. Brooks was incredibly proud to be able to tell Coach Lowry to stop getting on him about his defense, that he's now an all-league defender. So lay off me when you talk about my defensive mistakes. So it's a great thing for our program. Obviously, I tell our guys all the time, when you win, there's credit for everybody, and that's been our mentality, all year long. Is like, let's just win, and if we win, then everybody will get the credit, and to see those guys get that has been awesome.
Is there anything that Boo became his first time in school history?
Yeah.
That's even more of a nice.
Yeah, it just kind of added to the rung, right, of all the things he's accomplished here, and it's just a great thing. You get sad because it's coming to an end, right? I've talked about it. The journey that we've had here for 5 years and what he's done specifically these last 2 years and this year, the way he's led this team through injuries. Like he wasn't going to let this team when guys got hurt or when, his leadership has been awesome, and he's been all about winning, and for him to get the individual accolades for that has been special to me. And like we said, he's going to be a standard bearer going forward in our program. I'm going to be, you're going to want to get to Boo Buie level, and that's how good he's been, and that's the way he'll be remembered at this program.
Because you went through this last year, what did you learn about scheduling or just kind of the whole experience now as you get ready for this weekend and then going?
Yeah, it's a little different when you get to wait till Friday. You get in such a routine of playing, and you got to be mindful too. The guys, we've had almost 100 practices this year. We started in the summer. You have the full fall. You go through so when it comes to practice, the guys are a little bit over it, and that's kind of around the country. So you have to really maximize your time. You know, we want to make sure we stay fresh. We want to make sure we're getting our treatment and our recovery and all that, but also getting our work in. And I think it's still a time right now heading into postseason where you can fine-tune things. And a lot of times when you're going through the season and you play every third day, you're worrying so much about keeping your guys fresh that you have some slippage in execution, you have some slippage in your defense because you can't work on it. So for us to be able to work on some things here the last couple days, I think has been very impactful. And then we'll figure out tomorrow kind of who our opponent is going to be on Friday afternoon, and then go from there.
Where will you be watching the games?
We'll be in Minneapolis. So, I mean, the assistant coaches will be scouting in person, which would be great. We're going to head out there tonight. So after practice today, we'll get out there and get acclimated, especially playing the early afternoon game. We'll practice there tomorrow, and I think the game we play the winner of is at 1:30. So we'll practice and then scout that game, and then kind of have 24 hours to get our game plan. The good thing about a conference tournament is whoever you play, you've seen. You know, it's a little bit different than the NCAA tournament. You know, we've played, Maryland twice, Rutgers and Wisconsin both once. So one of those three teams will end up playing, and so there is going to be a little bit of familiarity there.
We've talked about the culture you've established here and the recent success, and it seems like around the country a few teams are starting to take notice. Your name was on a short list for Louisville this morning. Have you given any thought to your coaching future? I know you have a few tournaments coming up.
Yeah, I mean, my focus has always been being here. I mean, like that's, for me, I mean, I came here with the intent of being here for a long time. I love Northwestern. I love what we're building through the thick and thin. My family loves it here. My son is a student here. So, for me, it's about focusing on the now and coaching these guys. And, I haven't given any thought to any other situations because I love what we're doing here right now.
Coach, obviously last year you had the double bye with the opening game. What if at all are you using from that experience this time around?
Yeah, well, I thought we were ready to play in that game. Remember, I mean, we played a Penn State team that was really on a tear. And I believe that game was an overtime game. Went back and forth. Chase had a shot right at the end, that would have sent it into or even won the game. So I didn't think we played poorly in that game. I just think we played against a really good team who was an NCAA quality opponent that beat us in a close game. So, obviously you want to win, you want to advance. We're going to take this weekend as its own entity. The Big Ten has nothing to do. We're not even thinking about seeding. Like, who cares about what, we'll figure that out on Sunday night, and for us, it's about going to Minneapolis to have a chance to compete. By the time we play, we'll be one of 8 teams, right? We'll be one of 8 teams that has a chance to still compete for a Big Ten championship. And we have to throw everything into that this weekend to try to see if we can win on Friday afternoon.
You sort of touched on this a little bit, but does the fact that you're pretty securely locked into the NCAA tournament change in any way, affect any way how you approach this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think inherently, I think teams probably feel a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
And again, until you hear your name called, I mean, nothing's set in stone. I mean, I believe we're an NCAA tournament. I mean, if you look, it was crazy. I was kind of looking yesterday. I mean, you look at the teams we played twice in the Big Ten. We played Illinois, Purdue, and Nebraska all twice. The teams that finished 1, 2, 3 in the seedings. Not sure if any other teams in the conference did that. So, and Michigan State twice. So I mean, in order to get 12 wins with arguably, I think they said we had the second or third hardest schedule in the league. With the wins we've had, beating Dayton early in the season, which I don't think people realized at that time. We knew, but I don't think people realized what a win that was. I think our resume speaks for itself, and right now our focus has been on just going to Minneapolis and seeing if we can compete for a Big Ten title. And then, we'll watch on Sunday night and see what happens with our future going from there.
Having double bye experience last season, does that kind of give you more of a sense of comfort or preparation?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Being a double bye team last season, do you feel that there's more comfort being in the same situation this year?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's a great thing. I mean, to share third place this year, come in second place last year, it's a great thing for the program. The extra day of rest is huge. I mean, I think our guys have a confidence to them. Maybe last year was kind of new territory. Like, man, we've never done this before, and we're waiting until Friday, and this is pretty. I think this year it's been a business-like approach. I mean, our guys expect to win. There's a winning mentality. There's a tough mentality of We're going to go out and compete against anybody we play against. And so I think our guys, within our own walls are kind of like, hey, we expected to be here. And I like that mentality.
Coach, while every game in the Big Ten tournament can go different, have you had a chance to turn back on that Wisconsin tape from earlier in the season? And what are your takeaways and how you would make adjustments if you do see the Badgers?
Yeah, I haven't really watched it yet, just because there's 3 opponents that we could potentially play as of now. I have a pretty good recall, pretty good memory. There were a lot of positives out of that game. I remember, in the first half, we really couldn't get anything going outside of Boo. Which against them, you got to have more of a balanced approach. Second half, I thought we did a really good job, and it was a tie game with 2 minutes to go. We had 2 critical turnovers, and I remember it was a game in the balance. I remember Storr hit a big shot, Klesman hit a big shot, and then we had 2 turnovers on the other end, and that was kind of ball game. So if we end up playing Wisconsin, great respect for them. They're going to be an NCAA tournament team. It'll be a great test for us, and a chance to see if we could be just a little bit better than we were in Madison earlier in the year.
Coach, how important is it for you guys to have a number of players who have either been on this stage or competent on the stage this one?
Huge. I think it's huge. When you've played, on a Friday quarterfinal day in the Big Ten, you have that experience. You get the opportunity to go to like I said, the mentality of our guys is not. They're excited. They want to play. But this is where we expected to be. This is how we came into the year. You got to go out and earn it. But, this is what we talked about in the preseason. We wanted to compete for the Big Ten. We thought we had a team that was going to be good enough, to be in this position. And then we had to go out and do it. So there's a confidence there and hopefully an experience level going into Minnesota that I just love our leadership. Boo and Brooks, the older guys on the team. Ryan Langborg, he won an Ivy League championship last year. He's gone to a Sweet 16. Blake Preston has won a championship at Liberty. These guys have won. So there's an expectation and an experience there that I think is invaluable this time of year. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.